She's only after your money. End it now, my mother-in-law hissed, her voice a venomous whisper that carried through the half-open door of her pristine suburban kitchen. I froze in the hallway, my hand hovering over the doorknob, my heart pounding like a drum in a war zone. I'd come to drop off a casserole for their weekly family dinner, a gesture to keep the peace despite the growing tension. But what I overheard wasn't just a jab, it was a declaration of war. I'm Aisha Khan, 32, a graphic designer who built a thriving freelance business from scratch. 3 years ago, I married Bilal, the love of my life, a software engineer with a quiet charm and a heart bigger than his paycheck. His parents, Saira and Farouk, never approved of me. To them, I was the artsy girl from a modest family, unworthy of their golden son who'd graduated top of his class at MIT. They'd spent years trying to mold our marriage into their vision, or break it entirely. Tonight, I was about to learn just how far they'd go. I pressed myself against the wall, clutching the casserole dish, as Saira's voice grew sharper. She's a leech, Bilal. All those late-night client calls, you think she's designing logos? She's probably scheming to drain your accounts. I've seen her type before. Bilal's voice, usually calm, trembled with restraint. Mom, that's enough. Aisha's built her business without a dime from me. You don't know her. Oh, I know her, Saira snapped. And I've already spoken to our lawyer. We'll make sure she gets nothing when this marriage falls apart. You need to protect yourself, now. I couldn't breathe. This wasn't just disapproval. It was a calculated plan to sabotage our life together. My hands shook as I set the casserole on the hallway table and slipped out the front door, unnoticed. The cool night air hit my face, but it did nothing to calm the fire in my chest. They thought I was after Bilal's money? Fine. I'd show them exactly what I was capable of, and it would cost them everything. The next morning, I sat in my home office, staring at the family photo from our wedding day. Bilal's arm around me, his parents' forced smiles in the background. I'd spent years trying to win them over, cooking their favorite biryani, attending their endless social gatherings, even redesigning their community center's website for free. But nothing was ever enough. Saira had always whispered about my questionable background, and Farouk, a retired banker, would lecture me on financial responsibility, as if I hadn't paid off my student loans while building a 6-figure business. I opened my laptop and pulled up the prenup we'd signed before the wedding. Bilal had insisted on it, not because he doubted me, but because his parents had pressured him, claiming it was standard for their social circle. I'd agreed, not because I cared about his money, but because I trusted him. The document was ironclad, drafted by their high-priced lawyer. In case of divorce, I'd get nothing from Bilal's assets, and he'd get nothing from mine. What Saira and Farouk didn't know was that my little art business had grown far beyond their imagination. 2 years ago, I'd quietly launched a design platform, Pixel Vibe, connecting freelancers with global brands. It was now valued at $12 million, with contracts from tech giants in Silicon Valley. My personal savings, investments, and company shares were securely held in a trust they'd never traced, because they'd never bothered to look. They assumed I was a gold digger, not a builder. I called my lawyer, Nadia, a sharp-witted woman who'd handled my business contracts. Nadia, I need you to dig into something. My in-laws are pushing Bilal to divorce me, claiming I'm after his money. I want to know everything about their finances, properties, accounts, debts, anything. Nadia's voice was all business. Got it. If they're meddling, we'll find leverage. Give me 48 hours. As I hung up, Bilal walked in, his face weary. Aisha, about last night. I'm sorry you heard that. I told Mom she's wrong about you. I forced a smile, not ready to reveal what I'd overheard. It's okay. I know they've never liked me. They'll come around, he said, but his eyes betrayed his doubt. They're just protective. Protective wasn't the word. Predatory was closer. But I kept that to myself, for now. Nadia's report arrived faster than expected, and it was a gold mine. Saira and Farouk owned a $3.5 million house in the suburbs, a rental property downtown, and a vacation condo in Dubai, all heavily leveraged. Farouk's pension and their rental income barely covered their lavish lifestyle. Country club memberships, luxury cars, and charity galas to maintain their socialite status. But the real kicker was their debt. They'd taken out a $1.2 million loan against their primary residence to fund a failing investment in a friend's restaurant chain. The bank was circling, and they were 3 payments behind. They're overextended, Nadia explained over the phone. If the bank forecloses, they lose the house. And their rental property? It's tied to a shady management company under investigation for tax fraud. They're one audit away from a financial disaster. I lean back in my chair, processing. So, they're banking on Bilal's inheritance to bail them out? Exactly. Farouk's been name-dropping Bilal's tech stock options to creditors, implying he'll cover their debts. They're counting on controlling his money and pushing you out. That's when it clicked. Cyrus' insistence on a divorce wasn't just personal, it was financial. They needed Bilal's wealth, and I was the obstacle. But they'd underestimated me, and that was their biggest mistake. I spent the next week planning in secret. Step 1, protect Bilal. I sat him down one evening, away from his parents' prying ears, and laid out everything. Not the full plan, but enough to get him on board. Bilal, your parents think I'm after your money. They're pressuring you because they're in debt. We need to show them we're a team, and I need you to trust me. His eyes widened. Debt? How bad? Bad enough they could lose everything. But I have an idea to handle this, without hurting them more than necessary. He nodded, his faith in me unwavering. Whatever you need, Aisha. I'm with you. Step 2, leverage my assets. I contacted my business partner, Zara, and finalized a deal we'd been negotiating. A $5 million investment from a venture capital firm for Pixel Vibes expansion. With that liquidity, I quietly arranged to buy the note on Syra and Farouk's house through a discreet holding company. If they defaulted, I'd own their home. Step 3, set the stage. The opportunity came faster than expected. Syra called a family meeting at their house, inviting their lawyer, Mr. Hassan, a pompous man who drafted our prenup. The invitation was pointedly addressed to Bilal alone, but I showed up anyway, dressed in a tailored blazer that screamed quiet confidence. Syra's smile was venomous as we entered. Aisha, I didn't expect you. This is about family matters. I'm family, I said calmly, taking a seat next to Bilal. Farouk shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. Mr. Hassan cleared his throat. Bilal, your parents have concerns about your financial future. They've asked me to discuss options, including a potential separation to protect your assets. Bilal's hand tightened on mine under the table. Separation? From Aisha? That's not happening. Syra leaned forward, her voice syrupy with false concern. Sweetheart, we're just looking out for you. She's been secretive about her finances. We think she's hiding something. A divorce would ensure you're safe. I let the silence hang, savoring their confidence. Then I opened my briefcase and slid a folder across the table to Mr. Hassan. Before we continue, you might want to review this. He opened it, his brow furrowing as he scanned the pages. This is a financial disclosure? My financial disclosure, I said. Including Pixel Vibe's latest valuation, my trust fund, and my personal assets. Combined, they're worth $15 million. Bilal's tech stocks? About $2 million. So tell me, Syra, who's the gold digger here? Her face paled, but she recovered quickly. That's irrelevant. The prenup protects Bilal's money. Actually, Mr. Hassan interrupted, adjusting his glasses, the prenup protects both parties' assets. Aisha's wealth is untouchable in a divorce. But more concerning, he pulled out another document from my folder. This is a notice of default on your primary residence, Mr. and Mrs. Khan. The bank is preparing to foreclose unless the outstanding $1.2 million is paid in full. Farouk sputtered. That's private. How did you? I bought the note, I said coolly. Through my holding company. If you miss another payment, I own your house. And your rental property? It's under investigation. I've already alerted the authorities about the management company's fraud. Cyrus' mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. You can't do this. Bilal, she's trying to ruin us. Bilal stood, his voice steady. No, Mom. You tried to ruin us. Aisha's been nothing but loyal, and you've been lying to me about your finances and her. Mr. Hassan coughed, clearly uncomfortable. There's more. Mrs. Khan, your attempt to pressure Bilal into a divorce violates the prenup's good faith clause. If pursued, it could nullify your claim to any joint marital assets. The room was silent except for Cyrus' ragged breathing. Farouk stared at the floor, his hands shaking. I stood, addressing them both. Here's the deal. I'll cover your debt and save your house, on one condition. You apologize to Bilal and me, in writing, and stay out of our marriage. If you don't, I foreclose, and you're out by next month. Cyrus' eyes blazed with defiance, but Farouk grabbed her arm. Syra, enough. We've lost. The fallout was swift. Syra and Farouk signed the apology letter that night, witnessed by Mr. Hassan. I paid off their loan, but not out of kindness. I added a lien to ensure they couldn't borrow against the house again without my approval. Their rental property was seized after the tax fraud investigation confirmed their involvement, leaving them with just their home and Farouk's dwindling pension. Bilal and I moved forward stronger than ever. Pixel Vibe's expansion doubled our revenue, and we celebrated by buying a modest beach house, our own sanctuary, far from his parents' reach. Syra tried to call once, leaving a tearful voicemail about family unity, but Bilal deleted it. They made their choice, he said, pulling me close. At our next anniversary, we hosted a dinner for our real family, friends who'd supported us, Zara, and even Mr. Hassan, who'd quietly tipped me off about Cyrus lawyer meetings. As we toasted to new beginnings, I glanced at the prenup, framed on our wall as a reminder of trust and triumph. Syra and Farouk still live in their house, but the country club dropped them, and their socialite friends stopped calling. They'd gambled on breaking us and lost everything but the roof over their heads, a roof I now controlled. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just winning. It's rewriting the rules so the game can't be played against you again. As I looked at Bilal, laughing with our friends, I knew we'd built something stronger than money, a life where loyalty, not greed, defined family.